Hi, I'm Marcus, 38, and the exact moment my sister sneered at the keys to the $300,000 condo I gave her as a wedding gift, I realized I hadn't been invited to celebrate. I'd been summoned to perform. I made it to Serena's wedding with exactly 9 minutes to spare, smelling faintly of iodine and adrenaline. An aneurysm clipped at 5:14 p.m. Traffic at 6:02, and now here I was in a wrinkled suit, with hospital creases still pressed into my skin. I hadn't eaten. I hadn't slept. But I was there because that's what I do. I show up. The ballroom was glowing. String lights, champagne towers, a harpist who looked like she regretted every life decision that led to this gig. I stood in the back until the MC waved me forward. "We have something special from the bride's brother." That was my cue. I stepped up to the mic, reached into my jacket, and pulled out a silver envelope. Not a check. Not cash. A title. Full ownership of a condo, brand new, 2-bedroom, furnished, 10 minutes from the coast, in a secure gated community with a gym and a rooftop garden. I'd closed on it last month. Had the keys engraved with her initials. She took the envelope. Pulled out the title. Read the address. Then laughed. Not a giggle. Not a nervous chuckle. A full-bodied, head-tossing, microphone-picking laugh. "Wait, this is the condo? In Pacific Pines? Marcus, I said we were looking in Coral Hills. I can't live somewhere that has vinyl siding." Some guests chuckled. Others looked away. Someone near the bar muttered, "Yikes." I stood there, my hands calm, my pulse not. "I mean," she added, still holding the envelope like it might stain her nails, "it's sweet or whatever. But next time maybe just Venmo us?" And the worst part? The part that really cinched it? Our mother clapped. One polite little golf clap like Serena had just handled me well. Our father nodded like maybe I should have known better. The groom, Ethan, stared into his champagne as if hoping it would bubble him away. I smiled, because that's what I've trained myself to do in every family emergency. Every loan. Every. Just until next month. Every. "Marcus, you're the one with the good job." I smiled and sat down. No one saw it, but something in me snapped in that moment. Quietly. Permanently. Because no one in that room knew how many zeros were behind that gift. How many calls I'd answered at 2 a.m. How many bills I'd covered without being asked. How many times I'd been the safety net while my sister jumped with scissors. They didn't know. But they were about to find out. Let me back up, because this story didn't start with a bad laugh in a ballroom. It started 7 years ago, the first time Serena called me crying from a parking lot. She'd just been laid off from her second marketing job in 18 months. "I feel like a failure," she said. Ethan's commission check bounced and the rent's due Friday. She didn't ask for money. She cried. Which, in our family, is the same thing. I wired $1,800 that night. No questions. I was making good money by then. Spinal surgery pays like your hands are insured by NASA. I told myself helping was love. I told myself I was lucky to be in a position to help. That was the first favor. The second came 3 months later when she totaled her car hydroplaning into a stop sign. Ethan was between vehicles. Serena needed something safe but not sad-looking. I found her a used Lexus, put $12,000 down, and co-signed the rest. "You saved my life," she texted with a heart emoji. 3 weeks later, she dented the bumper trying to parallel park at a sushi place. "You should have told me the turning radius sucked," she said like it was a product review. Over the next 6 years, my support became less occasional and more structural. When they moved into a townhome they couldn't afford, I picked up the security deposit. When Serena needed veneers because clients noticed teeth, I paid the dentist directly. When their AC broke in July, I covered the HVAC repair because Ethan doesn't believe in credit cards. I never called it debt. I never kept track. I thought I was being generous. My mother certainly thought so. "God gave you a gift, Marcus," she'd say. "And when he blesses you, he expects you to bless others." What she meant was, "Your bank app should always be open." When I said I felt stretched thin, she'd sigh. "You're a doctor, sweetie. You'll make it back." When Serena said it, it sounded more like, "Well, I'm your only sister." About a year before the wedding, I had this moment 2 a.m. after a spinal decompression where I stared at my ceiling fan and thought maybe the gift is the boundary. A condo isn't a check. A condo can't be returned. A condo says, "This is the last time." I started shopping the next day. It was clean, modern, near enough to their work and still far enough from any nonsense. I paid cash. Had it clean top to bottom. Stocked the fridge with Serena's favorites. I even printed little labels for the drawers. Thought I'd nailed the Pinterest core dream. Turns out, Pinterest doesn't include addresses with the wrong zip code. And the moment she mocked that zip code in front of 200 people in rented tuxes and beaded gowns, something inside me realigned. The moment I got home, I emailed my lawyer. Subject: Personal financial assets request to reassess. And then I opened a spreadsheet I hadn't touched in 4 years. I named it Gifts that were actually loans. Because if Serena thought I was just a wallet with a stethoscope, then maybe it was time I started treating the balance sheet like gospel. 2 days after the wedding, Serena posted a reel on Instagram titled Honeymoon Vibes, featuring drone shots of her and Ethan sipping cocktails in Maui. The caption read, manifesting a Coral Hills address next. No mention of the gift. No thank you. Just a don't settle energy that made it very clear I had become a failed wish on her vision board. That same morning, my lawyer called. You sure about this? He asked. Once we send the formal repayment notice, it's on paper. It's real. I'm sure, I said, sipping cold coffee out of a thermos I'd reheated twice. It's been real for a long time. This just makes it mutual. We sent a formal demand, itemized, dated, complete with payment terms. Monthly installments. 0 interest. Not a punishment, just a correction. The total came to $94,615.62, and that's without counting the emotional labor of pretending for a decade that being used didn't sting. I didn't hear back from Serena. But I did get a group text from my mother the next day. Mom, can we not turn a beautiful weekend into a legal war? She was just overwhelmed. She didn't mean it. Me. She meant it enough to make sure 200 people heard. Mom. She was being funny. Me. It was a $300,000 punchline. My father sent a single text after that. Let's have a family dinner. Talk face to face. I declined. What they didn't know, what no one in that family seemed interested in knowing, was that I had kept every receipt. Not because I was petty, but because I was raised to chart everything. Medical school taught me, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. So I had a folder on my desktop called Serena Things. Credit transfers. Text screenshots. Audi loan agreements. The email where she called me the backbone of our wedding. And then added, could you float the photographer upgrade? Then, 1 week after the wedding, a courier knocked on my door. A white envelope, no return address, my name in blocky cursive. Inside, a legal-looking letter on stationery that had been clearly downloaded from a Google template. It was from Serena's attorney. It demanded the return of her wedding gift, the Audi, and claimed I had sabotaged her big day by flaunting classism in a public setting. She requested $50,000 in emotional damages for ruined vibes. I laughed. Loudly. Rudely. Alone in my kitchen, holding a sandwich and the thinnest legal threat I'd ever seen. Then I called my actual lawyer. Reply, I said. Use real law words. Make it boring. Make it stick. He drafted a letter so dry it made toast look wet. No emotion. Just statute references, loan clauses, and a very crisp repayment plan. 30 days to sign, or we escalate. Oh, and we added a lien warning on the Audi. I hadn't transferred the title after all. 2 days later, Ethan showed up at my apartment. No warning. Just knocked. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Unshaven. Pale. He held a grocery bag with the Audi key, a bottle of whiskey, and a sticky note that just said, I'm sorry. She said if I don't take her side, I'm not a real man. He muttered. But I didn't know about any of it. Not the rent. Not the car. Nothing. I thought you liked it. Helping. I stared at him. I like helping people who also help themselves. He nodded. Yeah. I get that now. He left the key. He didn't take the whiskey back. The next day, Serena went full scorched earth. Instagram stories, Facebook posts, even a tweet that read, Don't trust doctors with money. They think love comes with receipts. Followed by a photo of the Audi and the caption, Stolen by my own brother. Must be nice being a bitter old man. It had 137 likes and 3 fire emojis. I replied once, just once, with a photo of the vehicle registration showing my name. No caption. No insult. I didn't need to fight fire with fire. I had paperwork. I wasn't surprised when the family chat exploded like a malfunctioning pressure cooker. My cousin Janine posted a passive-aggressive prayer hands emoji. My Aunt Pam wrote, "He's always been too serious. Can't take a joke." My father, who I assumed would stay out of it, finally weighed in with the world's most unhelpful contribution. "Dad, let's not forget who made this about money." Me. "Yes. Let's not." Nobody, not one person, asked what Serena had actually said at the wedding. No one asked why the Audi had been returned. No one asked why I had an invoice from their florist with my credit card on it dated 3 months before the wedding. But they all seemed very interested in whether I planned to apologize. And in that moment, I understood something with surgeon-grade clarity. My family didn't care about what happened. They cared about the optics of what happened. It was never about Serena mocking a 6-figure gift. It was that I had reacted to it. Loudly. Publicly. Decisively. So I took the next logical step. I went quiet. Not passive. Not withdrawn. Silent. I pulled the insurance coverage on the Audi. I unlinked Serena from my dental plan. I called the bank and froze all automatic transfers tagged temporary. Then I changed the password on every shared account I'd been, temporarily, managing on her behalf. Within 48 hours, she couldn't refill a prescription. Ethan messaged me, asking why their rent bounced. I sent him a PDF labeled Reallocation Plan, Abramson Household. It included a breakdown of every expense I had previously covered. Total balance due, $94,615. 62, at the bottom. Status past due. That Friday, a final white envelope landed on my doorstep. No legal letterhead this time. Just a folded note in Serena's handwriting. Inside. "Mom says you'll cave eventually. You always do. So stop being ridiculous and give me back the car." No apology. No reflection. Not even a signature. I pinned it to the corkboard next to her faux legal letter. Right next to the itemized rent log and the $2,800 dental receipt she once called an investment in my brand. Then I brewed coffee. I sat by the window. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like someone's plan B. Later that night, Ethan texted again. "She's at your parents'." I told her I'm staying at my brother's until she figures this out. You were right. This wasn't generosity. It was convenience. I didn't reply. Not to him. Not to anyone. I'd already said everything I needed to with spreadsheets, notarized documents, and most satisfying of all, a complete and total lack of groveling. By Sunday, the Instagram stories dried up. By Monday, I had a voicemail from my mother. "This isn't who you are, Marcus. We didn't raise you to be cruel." I played it twice. Not for guilt. For confirmation. Because that's the thing. They did raise me to give. To serve. To fold myself into whatever shape the family needed. But somewhere between the title transfer and the $94,000 spreadsheet, I realized I wasn't the one who changed. I just finally stopped performing. 3 weeks passed. Long enough for people to assume I'd cooled off. That I was over it. That the Marcus who paid for things out of guilt and silence would come walking back in with his tail between his designer slacks-covered legs. They were wrong. In that quiet, I noticed something. For the first time in my adult life, my money stayed mine. My bank account didn't hemorrhage at the beginning of the month. My credit card wasn't catching surprise charges from apps I didn't use. No sudden urgent transfers. No emergency florist fees. Just calm, boring adult finances. It was glorious. Even better, no one died. Serena wasn't evicted. Ethan didn't starve. My parents still managed to pay their own utilities without tagging me in. And yet, the family spin machine kept churning. My uncle texted me a meme, a man drowning labeled, family expectations, with another man above labeled, me, choosing boundaries. Subtle. I didn't reply. My aunt left a voicemail whispering, "Just talk to her. She's your sister. Blood matters." I wanted to ask her where that sentiment was when Serena weaponized a condo title in front of 200 guests and a donut wall. Then, midweek, I got a message from the hospital's front desk. "There's a Serena Abramson here to see you. She says it's urgent." I was in the middle of reviewing post-op notes from a cervical fusion. I stared at the message. Thought about the last time she declared anything urgent. It had been over eyebrow microblading. I stepped into the hall. She was in reception, in oversized sunglasses and a beige trench coat like she was in disguise, holding what looked like a gift bag. Nope. I turned right back around and told security to escort her out. Calmly. Politely. The way you'd remove a random TikToker filming a prank in radiology. She left behind the bag. Inside, a bottle of wine I don't drink, a photo of us from 10 years ago, and a sticky note that said, "We've been through worse. Let's just reset." No apology. No mention of the spreadsheet, or the car, or the letter demanding emotional compensation for vibe sabotage. Just the assumption that if enough time passed, I'd forget the punchline she delivered with a smirk and a mic in her hand. That night, my father called. "This has gone on long enough, Marcus. Family doesn't treat each other like this." "No," I said. "They don't?" Long pause. "So what's it going to take for you to move past this?" I stared out the window, watched the lights blink on across the city. Accountability. Another long pause. He cleared his throat. "You know she struggles." "With what?" "Consequences?" Silence. "Dad, I didn't break the family. I just stopped being the ATM machine that everyone kicks when they want something shiny." I could hear him exhale like he was about to launch into a lecture. I hung up before he could start. Sometimes boundaries don't sound like fences. They sound like dial tones. By the fourth week, the shift was undeniable. My life on the surface looked exactly the same: 5 a.m. runs, back-to-back or days, lukewarm meals eaten over charts. But something deeper had changed. The background hum of obligation, the white noise of, "What does Serena need now?" was gone. I started sleeping through the night. Not because my schedule changed, but because my nervous system did. There was no phantom vibration from her texts. No pit in my stomach every time my phone buzzed. No more guilt-salted emails from Mom with subject lines like, "Just think about it." I didn't think about it. I thought about me. I ran my credit report for the first time in 3 years. Found 3 co-signed utilities I didn't remember agreeing to and a missed payment on an old Navy card I didn't own. I disputed them. It felt like a declaration of independence. I also finally scheduled a vacation 5 days in Maine. Off-season. Cold. Quiet. Perfect. When the hospital asked if I could be available by phone, I said no. They were so shocked they asked twice. I said no again. And then, on a Thursday morning, the email came. Subject: Notice of civil claim, filing intention. It wasn't from a lawyer. It was from Serena. Well, technically from S.A. Holdings LLC, a limited liability company she had apparently created through a legal Zoom trial. She had filed a small claims intention to recoup her lost wedding assets, citing the car, the public damage to her professional reputation, and what she described as intentional infliction of financial harm through gift revocation. The document was 4 pages of barely coherent indignation with a signature that looked like it had been drawn with her left foot. She also CC'd Mom. And Dad. And for some reason, our cousin Eric, who hadn't been relevant since the family reunion where he drank 3 margaritas and confessed he thought dolphins were just gay sharks. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded it to my attorney with the subject line, "Please handle this with the gravitas it deserves." He replied, "How much gravitas is that?" I wrote back, "Roughly 0 metric tons." He drafted a formal response full of glorious legalese and phrases like, "failure to establish prima facie standing," and "frivolous posturing." My favorite line. The defendant's public gifting of property was met with repudiation, not acceptance, which legally nullifies the perceived obligation. Translation: she laughed at the keys. There's no refund for bad manners. That same week, the Audi sold. I cleaned it one last time, wiped down the seats, and paused when I found one of her coconut-scented hair ties wedged between the console and passenger seat. I held it for a moment, then tossed it in the trash. The check cleared the next day. I used the money to max out contributions to my IRA and prepaid my mortgage by 6 months. It felt like lighting a scented candle made of financial peace. The same night, Serena posted a story captioned, "Some people care more about contracts than connection. Sad?" It got 43 likes. I went to bed with my phone on airplane mode and slept like someone who finally stopped loaning out their backbone. 2 months after the wedding, the silence had calcified into something permanent. Not an argument waiting to reignite. Not a Cold War. Just absence. My parents hadn't visited. Serena hadn't paid a cent on the repayment schedule. Ethan had quietly moved out, according to a mutual friend who spotted him loading a mattress into the back of a borrowed U-Haul. No grand declarations, no Instagram captions. Just a slow collapse. The family group chat was a ghost town. The last message was a blurry photo of someone's dog in a Halloween costume. No one replied. A fitting end. On a Tuesday afternoon, a new envelope appeared on my doorstep. Not white this time. Soft blue. Hand-addressed. I paused before picking it up, like it might explode. Inside, a note. No signature. Just Serena's handwriting. You've made your point. I hope you feel powerful. I laughed. Not bitterly. Not cruelly. Just tired. Power had nothing to do with it. This wasn't revenge. This was recovery. There's a difference between cutting someone off and stopping the bleed. That night, I opened the window in my apartment. Let the city air in. Sat with a bowl of pasta I'd cooked badly, but just for myself. No phone calls. No financial fires. Just peace and a YouTube playlist titled Jazz for Overworked Surgeons, playing quietly in the background. The next morning, I walked to the hospital. On the sidewalk, a resident caught up to me. Dr. Langston, she said. Can I ask you something personal? I raised an eyebrow. You have 5 floors before I disappear. She smiled nervously. How do you say no to family? Mine keeps pulling. I looked at her young, smart, barely holding the coffee she was gripping like a lifeline. You say it once, I said. And mean it. Does it get easier? No. But you get stronger. We stepped into the elevator. She nodded. Wrote it down like it was an antibiotic dosage. When I got to the board, someone had drawn a wonky heart around the name Langston with a dry erase marker. I didn't erase it. Back home that night, I opened the drawer where I'd been keeping the letters. All the ridiculous, handwritten guilt bombs. I took them out, shredded them slowly. Not out of anger, out of closure. Then I sat on my couch, stretched out my legs, and whispered into the room. No more rent. No more keys. No more apology-shaped threats. I'm done paying to be loved. And for the first time in a decade, I actually believed it. 3 months to the day after Serena's wedding, I stood in my kitchen cooking eggs so badly even the pan looked disappointed, but I smiled anyway. The condo was quiet, sun-drenched, calm. My phone was on Do Not Disturb. No buzzing. No guilt. Just the soft hiss of butter and the low hum of a Sunday that didn't ask anything from me. The Audi was gone. Sold. The condo Serena rejected? Rented to a pair of twin nurses who pay on time, love the rooftop garden, and text me sunset photos like they're proud of the place. They even call me Mr. Langston, which makes me feel like I should own a monocle and some tragic backstory. But really, I'm just a man who finally started saying no. I haven't spoken to my sister since the note. The repayment deadline passed. We filed. Her tone changed instantly. No more snarky stories. No more threats disguised as sentiment. Just one terse email from a real lawyer this time, asking for a reduced settlement. We didn't grant it. Ethan sent me a screenshot of his first repayment. $175. Labeled it my half. I didn't ask. He just did it. A quiet little line drawn in the sand. My parents? Still trying to reframe history. They sent a Christmas card with a handwritten message. Let's remember the good times. Life's too short for grudges. What they meant was, forget what she did so we don't have to pick sides. I didn't reply. Because I'm not holding a grudge. I'm holding a boundary. There's a difference. I still answer when someone's bleeding. I still scrub in when it's bad. But outside the hospital, I don't rescue people who mistake my love for a transaction. I've learned something. Kindness is only kindness if it's respected. If it's expected, demanded, it's a currency. And I don't hand that out anymore. Last week, a new intern caught me in the hallway. Sir, he said, breathless. How do you keep your cool? With patience. With staff. With everything. I smiled. I used to think I had to fix everyone. Then I realized some people don't want fixing. They want funding. Learn the difference. He laughed nervously. Wrote that down, too. After rounds, I walked home. Past the coffee shop where Serena once made me sell her $12 for a smoothie. Past the park where I used to take calls at midnight from family members who never asked how I was. past all the invisible strings I used to be tied up in. At home, I made tea. I read a book. I folded laundry. I sat by the window and watched the city blink to life. No one needed saving. No one was yelling. And in that rare, precious quiet, I said out loud like a contract with myself, I am not their credit line. I am not their backup plan. I am not the apology they refuse to give. I am Marcus Langston. Spine surgeon. Boundary enforcer. Brother to someone who forgot I bleed like everyone else. And I'm finally whole.